Alright, it's been a hot minute. It's been a couple of weeks since I last uploaded. I've seriously been trying to get better at this, I promise, but I do have more videos coming up, I promise. I am very much sorry that my schedule has been completely screwed, and on top of that, the YouTube algorithm has been very upset with me. So, with those two things, I just haven't been able to upload as much as I'd like to. That said, though, I'm really excited to be bringing this video because we just got a ton of news on Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem. I'm super excited. But I wanted to bring this video first. We have a ton to cover here. So we have every single boss in the Resident Evil engine games, just like that video I made ranking every single game on the Resident Evil engine. We have all their respective bosses. Now, most of them should be in order. There are a few that I didn't quite put exactly in order, so you can see all the way down here. We have the DLC bosses from Resident Evil 7. The reason I have them down here is because I'm not sure how I want to rank them. I haven't played them a whole lot, so if I want to rank them, I'll do it towards the end. You can skip towards the end if you want to see that. But if not, I just won't include it at all because I haven't played a whole lot of the DLC to be able to rank them, besides Not a Hero. But that'll be towards the end. We'll cover that later. This is every single boss, all their stages, you know, all that fun stuff. Let's get right into the video and continue, hopefully, a decent video schedule. So firstly, we have the first boss we actually sort of encounter, the first Mia encounter in Resident Evil 7. And it's all right. It's good for what it is. It's definitely leaning more on the horror factor than actually being fun. In terms of, actual gameplay, it's pretty below average. I would say it's average. It's not necessarily a good boss. It's not bad. It's just kind of whatever. It's very good at VR, I will say. Like, if you were counting VR just solely as VR, this would be A. But when you're just playing normally, it's pretty average. It's a good introduction, but it's really not a great, quote, boss fight. I feel like the first-person perspective bosses aren't all that great. So I think C tier is pretty fine. Not a bad one, and VR, it's like A. But normal version is pretty it's a decent boss. It's not great, not good. Now, that said, though, not all of them suck, okay? I do like some of them, such as the Jack fights, which we'll both just put them in here because they're both awesome. I think the first encounter where you drive around the car in the garage is solid B. It's a little ridiculous, and it's not really a boss fight per se. But the one that's pretty much ripped out of Evil Dead is A tier. You can't tell me this isn't a fun boss fight where you use chainsaws to fight each other. It's ridiculous, it's over the top. But come on, you can't tell me this isn't a fun fight. This is easily one of my favorite boss fights in the first-person perspective, just because of how ridiculous it is. And it's really fun, too. It actually does have really good gameplay mechanics here, using the chainsaw against him, having to match it, having to reload it if you actually miss. So it's actually a really good fight. I'm almost tempted to put it in S tier, but I think there's one that's just a tad better. That said, though, they're both really good fights and a huge step up over Mia's fight. I will say that. But that said, most of that praise is going towards this one. This one's pretty good for what it is. It's ridiculous over the top, and it's not really a boss fight, honestly. It's literally just you drive around in a car, and hopefully he doesn't do too much damage to you. So just solid fight, step up, and this is a massive step up. Easy A tier. I don't know why this one was included. This isn't even the boss fight itself, it's the encounter before it. So when you have that in mind, is it really, I don't really think it's like a boss fight, to be honest. I would put it in D tier. If you're going to include this, I'm putting it in D. Borderline F tier. It's not even a good boss. You're just shooting her for her to fall down the stairs. It's... Does anybody include this as a boss? I'm just going to skip this shit. Put it in D tier. I don't know why it's in here. Next we have the Marguerite boss fight, and it's pretty good. I don't know if I like it as much as the Jack fight, just because I think hers is a little more... hers is a little more disgusting. And I guess that's the point, so I'll put it above it, just because it's more... It definitely leans more into that biohazard sort of the game. So I think I'll put it above it, just because it makes me disgusted actually playing this. In terms of mechanics, it's okay. You definitely move a bit slow, I feel, so when she's trying to regenerate, it can be quite annoying. But overall, it's a pretty good fight. It's solid B tier. I think it's still worse than this. This one is probably going to be my favorite of 7. But Marguerite's fight isn't too bad, though. I'll put it solid B for what it is. Now, unfortunately, the final Jack fight isn't... Well, I say final, quote-unquote final. Jack fight is a little... I really didn't like that they went all the way over the top with him. It just didn't... It came out of nowhere, in my opinion. Not like with Evelyn, though. With this, I think it just kind of... It didn't need to go all the way over the top for Jack. I think you had a satisfying conclusion for him. to have him come back again, I think was kind of pointless. So I'm gonna put it in here. Really, it's not as impactful as Mia's, but it's not as bad as this quote unquote boss fight. So it's like right in the middle. It's not bad, but it's nowhere near as good as his previous ones, and it really doesn't serve any purpose other than to have that last minute action scene that Resident Evil always includes, or at least nowadays. So it's a solid C. I'm pretty disappointed by it, though. It really didn't need to be here. Now, it's going to sound hypocritical for me to put it there and then put this one above it, the final fight with Evelyn. But I do like this just because I think it's satisfying. I think for the ending of the game, it's a, finally take out Evelyn and the bioweapon, get introduced to Chris again. I think it's satisfying for what it is. It's not as impactful as these fights, and I definitely think it's not quite, living up to that Jack fight with the chainsaws. That one is still easily the favorite, I think. But it does a good job. It's pretty much just fighting like a giant venom thing, monstrosity. It's a satisfying conclusion, and the ending of the game is pretty good for what it is. So it's a solid B, but it's not, it's definitely like the weakest of these main four. And then, of course, this one's just not even, I don't even know why that one's here. And this one's just not good whatsoever. So it's pretty good, but not great. And that describes a lot of these ones as well. Now we're finally moving into the more interesting ones where we actually have different stages, so this could actually take a minute. Yeah, I'm looking down at this tier list. This might take a little while. So if you guys want to go get popcorn, get settled, help the YouTube algorithm by having this in the background, that would be appreciated. Let's continue with this tier list, moving into RE2 Remake. We have the first stage here. This is alright. My biggest problem with this fight, really, is that it's basically based on your frame rate. So a lot of these future ones, these ones I didn't feel it as much, but this, especially when you're trying to knife and you have higher frame rates, it can be a pain in the ass to take out. Usually the knife strat is what I'll go for to take him out. The the second stage we'll talk about later, but this fight, I'm just not a huge fan of it. I definitely think that if you're gonna have, frame rate tied to this kind of difficulty, that it shouldn't be just keep hitting him in that spot and then he just falls down. I think Birkin's fight is okay. I don't know if I'd even put it in B tier, to be honest. Like, it's just fine the way it is. Um, but if I put it below Mia, people are gonna get too mad at me. So I think I'll put it like top of C tier. I think it's okay for what it is. Not great, not good. And especially it's such a pain in the ass to go through if you're low on ammo. And of course you do want a knife, but knifing takes ages. And of course there's a separate strat for how to knife them correctly to actually maximize that for higher times. Just really, don't enjoy this fight whatsoever, but it's not a bad one, and it's definitely actually a boss fight, unlike these two. Unlike this one, it's actually a boss fight. So I'll put it in C tier for what it is, but I know some people are gonna get ticked off. But that's just fine the way it is. The second stage, though, is fucking trash, and I will not hear otherwise. Birkin's second stage is terrible. Nobody thinks that using a crane to fight a boss that can stunlock you and take you with him is a good idea. The mechanics involved in this fucking crane are ridiculous because you have to press it twice, right? You have to retract it and then have it come back. So essentially, you have to try and stunlock him so that he can get smacked. But what the game doesn't tell you is that, of course, if he survives it, or rather, if he gets unstunlocked and hits you, the animation for you to get up, Leon or Claire, will take so long that the actual crane will hit you instead. I really hate the crane, especially because you have to press it multiple times for it to actually go through. And then it takes another 10 to 15 seconds to actually activate and hit him. So you have to be very smart and careful to actually stun him into getting hit. And of course, it's assuming you have enough ammo to do so, because you have to try to get this at least in 1 or 2 shots. Typically, I've been able to finally get it in 1 shot. If you do enough damage, he'll be one-shotted by the crane, it's no problem. But if you have the misfortune of having to do this multiple times, good luck. I doing this multiple times certainly made me rage a couple times. I hate this fight. Easily the worst fight of the remakes by far. Well, no, not. Okay, we're gonna get to that one in a minute, but this one is my least favorite to play without a question. Fuck this fight. It's stupid. Now, the final stage is actually really good, so I can actually put this one in A tier because I really enjoyed this one. It's actually like a real full-fledged boss fight. Borderline S tier, I think. It really does do the final stage justice, and I think it's actually better than these two that's coming up ahead, so minor spoiler alert. I think it does do a really good job at being the final boss for Resident Evil 2 Remake in terms of, the main enemy that you've been fighting this whole time. Of course, you do have Mr. X here, and you do have the other version here as well. But I think this is just the final cherry on the sundae, right? It's the final conclusion, and it does that well. So I think that said, I think it earns the S tier spot. Feel free to disagree with me, but I do like it for the most part. And it is a little, gimmicky, just shoot one spot, he dies. But I think it's fine the way it is. I don't think there's too many people that disagree that it's not a bad fight. I think it's very good. And of course, the stage as well, I think looks great. So I think a solid S tier. And honestly, I don't think too many people are going to disagree with that one. But you let me know in the comments below if you disagree. I think it's a great fight. Again, this one's a little bit weird. Let me see if we... Yeah, this one's fine the way it is. I don't really care for this one, though. I think... Yeah, the final ones are pretty lame, honestly. At least in comparison, I think I would put it around the same level. I think I'll put it above the Margaret fight because it's more a little more fun. But it's not, it's barely memorable to me, so I'm sorry if this is actually a really good fight. The last time I remember playing this, I just don't recall having a great time fighting it. So about B tier, and that's me being generous just because that's all I can go off of for this literal monstrosity right here. Now, Mr. X, I know I'm going to get murdered if I put him anywhere lower than like A or B tier, but I just don't find his actual fight to be all that great. Honestly, I think the final ones were pretty lame. Aside from here, just to be generous, right? Because this is basically an icon. I'll put this in S tier. I will put this in S tier. But Mr. X himself, I don't think is good as a Jack fight. I think the Jack fight is just way too good, and I don't think enough come to quite surpass it. Honestly, I think this fight earned its spot. Mr. X is almost there. I just don't quite think he's. I don't know, man. I don't think he's quite I don't think he quite earns the spot of A tier just because I think this is a lot more just ridiculously fun. And this is kind of like a final Terminator kind of fight. And it's not all that fun, unfortunately. I'm sorry, it's just not all that fun. So I'm going to have to put it at the top of B tier. Not a bad fight. It can be fun. I just think that these two aren't quite long enough or actually full-fledged for me to actually put them any higher than B tier. So I'm sorry, but that's just where I think they most deserve to go. These three up here absolutely deserve their spots, and this doesn't deserve any explanation. It's literally the icon of this game, or at least it was. So we'll put it in there, and I don't think people will disagree. Nemesis, I mean, the first one is just literally, like, how do you even classify this as a boss fight considering how gimmicky it is? I'll put it above the Marguerite one because the Marguerite one isn't even a fucking fight. And maybe I'll put it like above. I'll put it above Jack, below Mia, because it's alright. It's decent. It's a good introduction. I just wish he did more. I just wish there was more to do than just turn him into Anakin Skywalker. That's pretty much what it is. It's the Anakin Skywalker boss fight. It's okay. It's like average. Not much to talk about. The Clock Tower fight is fucking D tier, and I don't want to hear otherwise. He is such a pain in the ass to take off on higher difficulties. And it's really just annoying to actually fight. You just watch him wherever he's going to go like a wild animal. You shoot him down. And assuming you have the, I believe it's called the Raiden. Assuming you have that, the fight lasts 2 seconds. You shoot him down, you use the Raiden, it's over. And yeah, that could apply to other fights as well. But this is more apparent, especially because he has that weak point. You literally just shoot once and the fight is over. It's just lame. It doesn't, like, it's ridiculous. It's really just a lame boss fight for what this is. I think his design is like A or S, but as an actual fight, it's just boring. It's really not all that entertaining. Really, it's the one that I want to speed run through the most because it's not all that cool. So I think it's just B tier. It's really about as entertaining as this, just shooting her to get her down. Pretty much the same thing here. Same concept for the fight, only this is actually more of a fight than this is. So I actually, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with them being in the same fight. So I'm going to put this in F. They can both share the F spot, and this can be D tier. For now, at least. And then we have basically another rendition of this, except it's slightly better, I want to say. I want to argue it's slightly better. I don't know if it's way better, though. I think they're pretty much all equally bad to me. I think this is probably the least. But then again, you have the Carlos section, and then you have... I think this is probably worse than Jack's. No, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I'll put it right in the middle. I'll put it right in the middle because it's basically this, slightly more difficult, slightly better setting, and of course you have to shoot them off with the electric parts of the building. It's slightly better, but not a whole lot better. It's just a slight improvement over what this was attempting to be, I guess. I don't know what they were thinking with these fights. They're all just mediocre at best. Except for the final fight. This one's an easy A tier, even though it did make me rage a couple of times when you're trying to repower the final thing. It's a good fight. I think for what it is, it's a good final fight. It's just that it should have been earned more, and I think a lot of people agree with that. It should have been earned more, but as a final fight, it is really good. I think it's right up there with some of the best in the RE engine. And of course, shooting the massive railgun and turning it into literal spaghetti is just, come on. It's a really great fight. And Jill absolutely deserved this moment. I will defend her against anybody who thinks she didn't deserve this moment. She absolutely deserved it. And holding the railgun is not as ridiculous as Chris punching a boulder, okay? This is a great fight. I don't care what anyone says. It saves the second half of the game by far, for me, in my opinion. But that's this whole list, in my opinion. I think this fight is just far and away better than these pieces of trash. So, easy A tier. Come on. It deserves that much. Now, this is where it gets a little bit difficult because I think they put all the sisters together for Resident Evil Village. So, with that in mind, I think I want to put this in B tier. I don't know if I put it below that. Hmm. It's pretty gimmicky as well. I guess the only problem I have is whether I feel comfortable putting on this same tier because these are just ridiculously fun. Whereas this is just pretty gimmicky. The graphics are great. The actual, I get the gimmick. The gimmick is kind of interesting. Shooting the windows to weaken them. It's pretty cool. So it's fun the way it is. I think I'll put it in B tier. Just nothing too special, I think. I don't think it's anything that's going to blow your mind. So as an actual fight, I think it's pretty good. All the sisters fight pretty much the same way, just different locations in slightly different ways on how to beat them with the broken glass. So I think B tier is a well-deserved spot for what it is. Now, Lady D's fight. Okay, this one's going to take some explanation because I don't know if it's S tier worthy as much as I'd like it to be. But at the same time, I cannot put it below the Jack fight with all due respect. This fight is just, I mean, this defines the whole rest of the game. This is pretty much the defining fight for the castle. So you can't tell me this isn't one of the best fights Resident Evil has to offer, even if it's a little over the top is mildly stating it. But I think as a fight, it's gotta be one of the best. You know what? I'm gonna put it in the S tier. I don't care what people say. Resident Evil Village is my favorite Resident Evil game. It absolutely deserves the S tier spot. Just the way you have to use different weaponry. The very fact that she can, take you out of the sky and you have literal animations of you soaring through the air like freaking Superman. It's actually so funny. And it's just really fun to play as well. I really like the variety of weapons you get to use against her by this point. And it also just makes sense with how Resident Evil does its bosses. You can see all these monstrosities. That's pretty much how they always end up. So I'm glad this is how they chose to go with her. I just kind of wish it wasn't this over the top for her. I wanted to fight, actually the Lady D, I'll say it like that, Lady D. I wanted to fight her more than actually fighting this monstrosity of what she becomes. And yes, obviously the story sets up why she ends up this way. I just kind of wanted to fight her a little more. That said, though, still in S tier. I think it's a certified classic boss fight, for me at least. So hopefully some of you guys see why I like Resident Evil Village as much as I do. The only issue is I kind of wanted to see her more. So I'll put that in S tier, and I don't think there's further explanation for that one. This one's also going to take a lot because I know people do not like this fight, and there's a lot of people who won't consider it a fight. So I think it's kind of the opposite of the Jack fight in the sense that this is completely ridiculous fun. This is creepy. Anybody who plays this is so creepy, and I love it for that. It's such a great way to use dolls in a horror setting and actually make it horror. Because for the most part, they're not really all that scary. Except for this. This little shit right here is annoying and horrifying. Like, she talks shit. And, of course, she does other things that I don't even want to talk about just because how scary this little demon thing is. It's just pure horror, and I think it works for well for what it is. It's not really a fight per se, it's more just kind of scary, like horror in a boss fight, basically. That's what this is. And I think it does it so well. It absolutely deserves it, man. I don't care. I don't need to defend it. It's scary, and it does the Resident Evil license just pure justice. It's pure scariness in a boss fight. What more could you want? You know, besides these three awesomeness right here, what more could you want from a boss fight than that? Really, this one's also a piece of shit. I hate I hate sewer fights, man. Anything related to the sewers, this one's not even a sewer one, but you know, water boss fights are just all trash to me, and this is no exception. It's just so annoying. And really, what makes it worse is the acid rain and the fact that his target point right here is just so hard to hit. Not even hard to hit, just really, it moves constantly. Just, I hate this fight, man. I don't care. It's so stupid. This one's like, it slows down the pace significantly for no reason, and it could have been ended so much earlier had they not turned him into a little fucking dolphin looking thing. Yeah, I don't care, man. I don't even remember this little shit's name. He's a piece of shit. Worst fight in a game without question. Just trash. Luckily, we can move back into the A tier though, because I feel like S is getting a little crowded. I don't know how people are going to feel about this. I think the werewolves in general are just really good. I think using it in this setting, and of course being more action-paced in Village, I think it's a great fight. Now, you don't have to kill it the first time around, I don't think, but you do have to kill it at some point. And just fighting it in general is a great, I think, experience for Village. I think it really gives it that sense of being more action-paced, like Resident Evil 4, while simultaneously being very challenging and can kill you if you're not paying attention or if you're not fighting, you know, using great weaponry. Just a great fight in general, really. Not much to complain about. So, solid A tier, honestly. I think it's a great fight and really fits the more action-paced of the beginning to latter half of Village. So, yeah, A tier. I don't think anyone's going to get too mad if I put it over there. Now, this one, unfortunately, honestly to God, I don't remember this fight whatsoever. I think this is that part where you're underground and this thing comes after you. I want to say I remember this fight well enough, but then again, you have this guy who, this is the one I'm talking about. This one is, the confined space ruins this one for me, okay? If it wasn't so confined, I would enjoy it a lot more, but it's such a pain in the ass to fight them in that small space that you have that it kind of just kills the experience. I think it's pretty average fight. I would put it above, you know, Evelyn, but that's pretty much it. The confined space of the room, I just don't like it whatsoever. It really makes it so much more of a pain in the ass to fight. And not like an actual challenge, but just more of a pain in the ass in general. So yeah, B tier, really ruined by the space they gave to this character. Because I think there could have been so much more done instead of confining it in there. And basically, it's not even a fight. It's just, you know, kind of running around throwing grenades until hopefully you can actually get the kill. Because this thing has such an AoE. It's such a pain to actually deal with. So I think B tier is pretty fine. I just hate how confined it is for what it is. And then this one's also a piece of shit. Who thought this was a good idea, right? Now, I know how you beat them, right? I think we all know how to beat this thing. It's just so comically, it's such a comical disaster of a fight. I don't even know where to begin. All I have to say is this is clearly a leftover idea for some other portion of the game they wanted to include. What do you even call this one? A turbine? Like the turbine from Transit? Like, this is not even... It's so borderline ridiculous. I don't even consider it a boss fight. But if you want to consider it a boss fight, yeah, you can go, like, top of that. Not even just a complete walking failure. That just seems like something that the bakers would have done in the DLC, which is probably where it should have stayed instead of being included in Resident Evil 8. It's just not, it's just so gimmicky. Get the fuck out of here, man. It's so stupid. Now, basically the final, second final fight. I know a lot of people don't like this fight, and it is a pain to fight once you're out of the tank. I actually found the tank section not to be that difficult, but once you're out of it, it is so much harder. I don't know if it's like, I might be a fanboy for saying this, but I think it's like A tier, man. I love Resident Evil Village, so I know there's gonna be someone calling me a glazer for putting so many in A or S tier, but I don't find it that bad. I don't think it's that bad. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think it's fun. I think it's really cool. I think, the first tank section, kind of annoying, sure. And once you're on the ground, it's significantly harder, of course. I don't think it's that bad, though. I think it is quite fun to actually fight against. And it feels like you're literally fighting Magneto, man. You're fighting Magneto in Resident Evil. It's not that bad a fight. Come on. I don't think it's that bad. I think for what it is, it's a really solid fight. And of course, it's beautiful once you get to this outdoor part. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a great fight. I don't think it's that bad. Come on, guys. The tank section's a little annoying, sure. I don't know if it's enough to put it like down here, though. That's absolutely crazy, in my opinion. So, solid A tier. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually pretty good. Where do we start with you? Now, the thing is, you could kind of consider these two as part of the finale, and depending on how well you've done so far will determine how you like these two. I think this part of the fight's okay, but I think her fight is a lot worse because it feels like so if anyone's played God of War, the Valkyries, you remember fighting the Valkyries? It kind of feels like they put the Valkyries in Resident Evil, and I don't think it quite works. I think cinematically, I think for the story, it's easily one of the best. But as an actual fight, though, it's just so annoying. That's in my opinion, of course. I just find her to be such a pain in the ass, and it feels really significantly harder, at least in first person. Maybe in third person it's easier, but in first person it's so difficult to move and actually avoid her attacks. Maybe, okay, again, maybe it's a skill issue. I just don't think it works for the game that Resident Evil Village is. I think it should have been a little slower paced. I think it's just too fast paced for the kind of game that this is. And again, the first actual fight, right, is okay. I think it's pretty much kind of like Nemesis. Pretty forgettable, honestly. But fighting Melinda, it's fine. I think it really gets hindered by what Resident Evil Village is. If it was in a proper third person game, like these ones, I might not point at those. Go to Resident Evil 2. I think it would work a lot better because you'd actually be able to move. But since you can't move all that fast, you end up taking a lot of hits unnecessarily, and ultimately makes the fight feel significantly more tedious than it should be. So I'm unfortunately gonna have to stick you in D tier. I'm sorry, you're just so much more annoying to deal with than everything above, and just more tedious. Cinematically, you're easily better than everything else, but as an actual fight, you're just really annoying, and I really do not like having to revisit this damn boss fight. So you can stick in D tier where you belong. Uh, Now we're getting into the Shadows of Rose DLC, which I actually did complete fully, so I will include those here. If you haven't, then you can go check out videos of it. Um, the problem with Shadows of Rose is that the fights are, of course, limited by the fact that Rose is significantly weaker as a character. Not weaker, of course, she does have powers, but she doesn't get to really have as many weapons at her disposal. So you kind of have to treat these fights a little bit differently. So the first fight here is this one made me rage a couple of times. It's quite difficult. It's quite satisfying to beat, but as an actual fight, though, it is so annoying to actually fight. Uh, I think I do like it more than Bergen first form, but I don't know if I like it more than Evelyn's fight. I think it's probably B tier, just because it is in Village, so naturally I just like it more. But I don't know if I like it more than Evelyn's. I'll put it above Evelyn, but I'll put it below this man right here because he's actually competent and well designed. So I think I'm okay with that placement for now, but I might change my mind. We have Evelyn again. This isn't really a fight, so I don't know why it's even included in here. It's literally just some fucking gimmick. Why are you up here? No, you should be down here with fucking the second stage. Get out of here. I'll put it top of S because is it really even a boss fight? You literally just you literally just move up like you have Parkinson's against Evelyn. It's really not even a fight. I don't know why it's included in here. It's pretty much just fan service for the 7th game. Not really a fight, so I don't know why it's here. And now we have Melinda Part 2. Uh, I think this one's arguably worse because you're playing as Rose. And God, this one, both fights I'm not a fan of, but this one especially, so. Ooh, this one's gonna get me some. For anyone who's played 8, this one's gonna get rather some feathers. I think it's worse than this is Part 2. Um, Mostly because it's really it is in third person, so it is easier to fight than I guess first stage. So I guess I'm more comfortable putting it above her. But it feels a lot more bullshit. It really feels like it's not more of a game that's Resident Evil like. It's more just kind of I don't know, man. I don't like this fight. I think it's just too gimmicky. I think her power just becomes really annoying to use. It feels more like a gimmick you have to use to actually progress the damn boss fight in the first place, which of course many do. But I think this one's just too reliant for her, and I think it's just too annoying. I think that if it had been in the main game, maybe it could have been better. Instead of this, you could have gotten this. It would be very over the top, but it would definitely be a lot better, and I think a better showcase of her abilities. I think it's D tier. I think it's all right. I don't know if it's like. I think it's okay for what it is. I don't particularly like it, and I actually do dislike it quite a bit. So I'll put it here for now, and I think I probably won't change my mind on that. But that's just my feelings on the Shadows of Rose DLC bosses. They're not all that great. Besides, this one right here is pretty good. So hopefully I won't get massacred for that one. Now we're getting into the RE4 remake. Yeah, this one's going to be the wrap-up for our video today. We have the Del Lago fight. I don't think anyone's going to debate that this one's just not, like, good at all. This one's just really... Does anybody like this fight? Like, come on. Does anybody like it? It's fine. It's whatever, but it's just so annoying to deal with. And for whatever... I just recently found out that at higher frame rates, it's actually harder. So it's actively discouraging you to fight at better fidelity. So... yeah, whatever. F tier Del Lago. Does anybody like this fight? If anyone does, just let me know in the comments so I can ban you. I'm kidding, obviously. Definitely wouldn't ban you over a boss fight disagreement. So next we have... it's a pretty good fight, especially with the little wolf that comes to help you. Pretty good fight. I think it's like a solid around... wait, why are you... okay, hold on. So this fight, I think it's a solid like top of B, very good fight. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. I'm just going to switch you two around. I don't know why I have you above that, or above that, or above that. Yeah, go to the no, go over there. Get out of here. I think this is a really good starter fight, and of course having the little wolf there helps out a lot too because I love those things. So come on, you gotta put it at B tier at least, maybe A tier. I'll be nice and put it in A tier, and I'll put it above these two as well just because it's a really good starter fight for what RE4 is going to have. Now, for whatever reason, the chainsaws are also considered a boss fight, which I wouldn't because they just become normal enemies. If you want to consider them a boss fight, I would put it on par with Nemesis and this monstrosity here. I don't know. Are they really a boss fight? Like I said, at least Mia's boss fight serves, the beginning of the game and showing you more horror-like things. This is just normal enemies that come into the game later. They're not really boss types. I would call them mini bosses, if anything. So they're whatever. I wouldn't consider them bosses. It's just so weird to have them included here. But if you're going to, I would say it's pretty average in terms of what RE4 has to offer. See, when you have this guy right here, this is an actual fight. Yeah, I'm gonna put him at the fucking top of A tier. This thing's awesome. Look at that thing. Mendez's fight is incredible. You can't tell me it's not a great fight. It can be quite a pain in the ass when he traps you a couple of times, or when you actually shot his arm but it didn't connect. It can be a pain in the ass, but as actual fight goes, this is amazing. Like, easy A tier. It absolutely just defines a lot of the beginning of RE4 for me. Like, you can't tell me this isn't a great fight. Come on now. Especially with the explosive barrels just knocking him down and pretty much making him easy prey. He's just not a bad fight at all. Easy A tier. And honestly, I think a lot of what Mr. X should have been was similar to this. We didn't really get to fight him like this all that much, so easy A tier. Come on. Just great fight in general. Again, these just become normal enemies later. But since they are more boss-like, I would actually argue they have more value than the chainsaws. So, I don't know if I'm gonna get. I think people are gonna get mad at me if I put them a little too low. Conceptually, they're cool. Hmm, I think I'll put it at the top of C. Conceptually, they're cool. But that one part when you have to deal with the two of them, and one of them is covered in full armor, and they do that lunge attack that can go straight through a hallway and connect with you, forcing Leon to do that animation and basically juggle you around. They can be a pain in the ass to fight and quite annoying. Um, but I don't know if I feel comfortable putting it that low though. Like as actual enemies go, they're pretty good. I just don't think they're quite up there. I'll put them in B. I'll be a nice and put it in B, but I don't think they're quite the best the game has to offer. Not to say they don't have any good ones. They already have two in my A tier. I just don't think they are great enemies as bosses go, but they're not bad either. I think I'll put it right here. Pretty comfortable putting in that spot. We have the armored one. I don't know why it's here, but I guess it's because Carlos is included. Not Carlos, fucking Luis, dude. That's how you know I'm tired. Fuck Carlos and Luis. Um, Cinematically great, but it's very similar to that one, if not a tad worse, because you're literally just fighting the two of them. So it's just a tad worse. I think I'll put it in B tier. I think I'm comfortable with that. A little above Mr. X, but below the sisters. Just fighting this one again, except you have dynamite and you throw them into the lava. So pretty much the same shit, just a tad different. Uh, I think I'm going to be in the minority on this one. I do not like this fight whatsoever. I actually have gone a couple of runs where I just don't kill it whatsoever because again the gimmick is just so it's just hit and run, pretty much hit and run the boss fight. Design wise, it's super cool. But as like an actual encounter, it's just really annoying, quite disappointing actually. So I'd put it like around the final fight of Jack. I would say it's around that same level. It's just really annoying, really. That's all it describes to me is tedious and annoying. And you can often go playthroughs without killing it at all. So making it a optional, non-existent boss fight, it's quite disappointing, really. It quite is disappointing for what it's trying to be. It's just a disappointment. That's all this fight is. And really not all that fun, honestly, after the first shock factor, the horror factor, wears off. So pretty much like C tier. And that's being generous. Okay, so you're gonna include the both of them? Oh, so are you just including the armored one separately? I mean, if that's the case, then I would just put them together because they really are, they feel the same to me, honestly. I think this is from later in the castle. I think they feel pretty much the same. Uh, Again, it's just kind of doing this one, but again and again and again. So the first fight was great. Second one's all right, and then you have to deal with these two, which aren't all that cool. Uh, yeah, I would just put them like all around the same tier. They're kind of just getting repetitive at this point in the game. So just go into B tier where you belong. You're pretty much doing the same shit like the fourth time in a row. You had your wow factor, but you keep doing it over and over. It's getting annoying. Krauser fight S tier. I don't want to hear it. What the fuck is this monstrosity? Oh, oh, it's Sadler. What they use this picture of Sadler for? Oh, Sadler fight is really annoying, but I do think he's a good fight. So I'll put him like I definitely think he's worse than these two. Um, yeah, no, I'm gonna put you bottom of A tier. I think you're a good fight, but you are quite troublesome, Mr. Sadler. Uh no, not Mr. Sadler, Ramon. Yeah, you're Ramon. Ramon, get out of here. You're trying to hide me with that yee ass haircut. Get out of here. No, bottom of A tier, but definitely worse, I think, everything above it. So really not much explanation other than, it's really just annoying to deal with. And also just I hate the movement where you're trying to hit them, but they keep moving over and over. And of course, their precision spots are in an area where you have to be aiming precisely. But of course, they have splash attacks that can knock you on your ass, knock Leon on his ass, do that animation for 5 seconds, and then you can't hit them again until they reposition themselves. Just kind of annoying. But as an actual fight goes, solid A tier. Just really fun fight. Nothing much to complain about other than, again, the movement just being really damn annoying. Krauser Part 2, I don't, this one's going to be, I think the reason I like the first one so much, a little bit I'll go into, is just, the actual story behind it, and the dialogue. It's quite well paced as well. This one is really good. I just hate the arena because what he'll do is be very aggro towards you and keep knocking you off of the stage, even when you're on the stage. So what you'll try to do is get up on the ladder, and then when he jumps, you'll still take the damage for it. It's quite. I just hate the stage. The stage kills it for me, and I get why it's there. And the setup to this fight is S tier, but as an actual fight goes, I think it's just it gets held back by the stage being very cumbersome to deal with, combined with his aggression constantly kind of pushing you to get off the stage. Just really annoying. But as an actual fight, though, it's very, very fun. So very strong A tier. Not too much to complain about other than, again, the stage holding it back from being one of the best the series has to offer. Also, these aren't in order, by the way. If anyone's watching, this is not in order. I have switched them slightly, but they're not going to be in order because if we were doing that, this video would be twice as long. So we don't need that. And then we have the final fight of the main game, Mr. Sadler himself. A pretty good fight, I would say, about on par. I think it's slightly worse than Krauser's second fight. But as an actual fight, though, I think it is really good and it really defines the game. I think a lot of people will remember this boss fight as a great one. So there's not really much to complain about. Yes, it's just, shoot these spots. But, the cinematics. I think a lot of it does play into the cinematics. The ending where Ada helps you out and you shoot him with the RPG. Just all this stuff really helps to be an iconic fight and arguably top 5 material. If not for Krauser and having 2 fights that are just fucking epic. It's really, really close to being in the top 5. I think I'll leave it here for now. Be comfortable with that. And I'll change my mind later if I end up changing my mind. So let's move on to the Separate Ways DLC. And I think we're also going to have the Nightmare DLC that I might not end up including at the end of this video. So I am not sure about that one yet. So Separate Ways. This fight's just kind of weird. Like, I don't know. This fight's just not memorable to me. I don't know. It's just design wise it's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty gimmicky and it's really not like a great fight. I think it's just kind of illusionary. It's whatever. It's kind of like the first fight of Mr. fucking Nemesis. So pretty much the same thing. Really just kind of whatever. It's fine. It's serviceable for what it is, and combined with the gameplay, it's pretty good. Just not a great fight, I don't think. Again, now we have Ada's version of this, and I do think her gameplay makes this a significant step up over these two, just because it's slightly different, but it still feels kind of a little repetitive. When you fought this thing like 3, 4, 5 times now, it gets a little annoying, especially since you're going to play the DLC after the game anyway. I feel like most people are. So by the time you fight this, it just gets kind of annoying, but I do like her abilities being slightly different, that it does make it a lot less. It feels a lot less forced. It feels slightly different. So solid B tier overall. Pretty good fight. Just, I think it definitely gets carried by Ada's gameplay being slightly different. Because otherwise, it's literally just these 4 done for the 5th time. It's just really kind of repetitive at this point. Not a bad fight. Just gets repetitive if you keep doing it over and over and over and over. Which this game does do, unfortunately. Okay, you, my friend, I have not fought in quite some time. I have not beaten the DLC in some time, so my memory on you is quite lacking. But that said, I would not put you in B tier, solely because I don't think you're quite as... First of all, you're not as memorable, but also the gameplay here just isn't as fun, I don't think. Yeah, not much to really say on this one, to be honest. I think just C tier, just kind of whatever. Like, kind of blends in with the rest of these. They're just pretty average fights. Sadler's fight. This one's gonna give me some. I know some people like this one and some people hate it. I don't know how I feel about this one. This one made me pretty mad. I think it's slightly worse than Ramon fight. I don't know if it's a tier worse. I'll put it in A tier to be nice and just say that Sadler is a tier fight. The first version of Sadler, anyway, is an A tier fight, and just leave it at that. I know that's kind of a hot one. I don't know if people like or hate this fight. I'm just gonna put it there, and hopefully people don't get too mad at me. Now we have the DLC. So the video is pretty much over at this point with this tier list. So you can pretty much take a look at this list, see if you agree or want to prosecute me. I do apologize for not saying the names of all of them. It's just, my memory's fucking dog shit. So I don't want to get anyone's names wrong other than the ones I know for a fact. This is just based off my personal preference also. It's not based just on the story or cinematics. Those I didn't take into account too much because if I did, a lot of them would just go to Resident Evil 7 and 8 fights just by default because I think the first person does do a lot more justice. Aside from a few, of course, this Krauser fight gets carried by the cinematics, the story, and the fast pace carries it into the S tier. If not for those things, of course, I think it would definitely be a lot worse. But that's not the sole factors either, by the way. Gameplay, all that good stuff really changes some of these fights. And some of these could be interchangeable. I am going through the series again, so this video might be outdated very quickly. But I did want to make this because I really want to show you guys what I value a lot in these games and why I like certain games over others. So if you guys disagree or agree, please let me know in the comments below. We have the DLC fights here, but they're not really going to make that much of a difference at the end of the day. And they're not really fights either. But, I'll just throw this one in because I'll throw in Not a Hero because why not? Just fucking C tier, just gimmicky. Again, just like the Chainsaw one, just gimmicky. But thank you guys so much for watching. I very much apologize for the delay. I did try getting this out as soon as possible, but again, just a lot of things happening. And of course, the YouTube algorithm not being very good to me. Just a lot of things happening that kind of not only killed my motivation, but I've just been very busy. So I am trying to upload as consistently as I can from now on. I do upload shorts quite often, so if you want to see those, you can click the shorts in the link or in the channel below. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you agree with the tier list, please slap that like button and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to Dark Ops Army. And let me know what you thought was the best and worst part about this list. Which ones you think are accurate and which ones aren't accurate. Show me your list in the comments below. Send a link. I'd love to see what you guys think about these boss fights, which ones you think are better. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Dark Ops, and I'll see you guys in the next one.